Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wait a Gay Minute. Today is Thursday, October the 14th, and we have with us tonight um, Steve Hamlin. We also want to apologize for the technical difficulties and the tardiness. So, everyone, join on in, share this live. Make sure you share. We're going to get info from Mr. Hamlin tonight, and as we all may know him as Fuji.
Yeah, I ain't calling you Steve. I'm calling you Fuji. I couldn't remember his first name. I always is Fuji.
So, introduce yourself. Tell everyone that don't know who you are, and what you do.
Yes, so I am Fuji. Most people who probably join knows me from elementary through high school, some college, but I am Stephen Hamlin Jr. because the good bishop is there in Suffolk carrying the name still. I am, of course, originally from Suffolk, Virginia, and now currently live in the DC, Maryland area for the last 20 years. Professionally, I am a career educator because I've done almost every role from being a substitute teacher to a principal to a central office educator, which is what I currently do now. And so that is me in a nutshell.
Okay, so you say you used to be a principal. See, the last thing I know, you was a principal. So you're no longer a principal?
So I only did we were transitioning between principals. So I was an interim principal as my principal who I worked under transitioned out. And that was enough time for me to understand that I didn't no longer want to be a principal, much like I no longer wanted to be a teacher. But I'm pretty sure if I would have stuck it out, I would have done what I typically do, is just stick and do the job that needs to be done for students. But at that time in my career, I wanted to do something different. And so I took a central office position with a charter school network, which is huge in DC. And I was the director of special education for our pre-K, elementary, and middle schools for 7 years.
Okay, so how do you like with special ed kids? Like, do you enjoy it? Do you feel like you give them something, or you bring a lot to the table for them to learn from?
Yeah, I love it. I didn't originally start out to be a special education teacher, and even when I was a general education teacher, for my first 2 years of teaching, I use the word afraid. I was afraid to teach them because I didn't know if I had the skills to teach them. I thought it required a special set of skills or talent to meet them. And I found I had a colleague from college, shout out Virginia State University, who called me and over the summer, because I was enjoying my summers off during my third year teaching. And she said, "Hey, can you come to DC and work at my school for the summer? I need some help." I said, "Sure." It was a alternative school, which is all special education. And I went for the summer and I stayed for 5 years. And I enjoyed working with those students, learning their unique talents, the unique ways of learning, and seeing how they made progress, even if it was small progress. And so that did, you asked if it's something that I give them. I found that I got more from it than I was giving them. And so it gave me a sense of purpose and a sense of passion. And so I continued that work, and I it's what I do now. Yeah. And now we're 15 years later since that I made that decision.
Well, that's what you said. Well,
I'm sorry, I was going to cut across you. I thought you were done. Excuse me, but I was going to ask, what do you enjoy most about teaching the special needs?
So I actually enjoy seeing them smile, seeing them see themselves being able to do things that they either thought they couldn't do or that someone made them feel they couldn't do. And so seeing them like get it, you know, I have not taught since 2011, I think. It's been a long time, I can't remember, in terms of being an actual classroom teacher. I'm an educator by trade. And so I now teach teachers and leaders how to support those students with disabilities. And so I do, and I work with families and I advocate for them. So the other part of that is I just enjoy families actually being happy to finally hear that their child had a good day, or their child really mastered a skill, even if it was just one goal on their IEP, being able to give them something to hang on to and move towards the next day and the next week and the next month. And so that's been really a part of my work, is advocating for families.
Okay, so now that you're more so in the administrative type of role with education, so therefore, are there some type of education guidelines you have set, a policy that you have set, or some that you want to come up with to make sure that all teachers, not even just teachers in the DC area, but maybe more on a national level, come up with a policy that you feel can help, and you can go to like legislators or something like that? Have you thought about any of that?
So have I thought about it? Yes. There is special education that is a federal law, is IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And I truly believe that is a very solid legislation for schools. And so it's more so in the way that schools interpret that law that then you start to talk about how I then come in and what I want to do with that. On a national level, I don't think I ever want to work for like a presidential administration and making policy and things. I think it's needed. I just don't know if I'm that change agent. I really like having access to families and students and teachers. But I have, in terms of that, done that work, and it's actually how I then moved on to start my own business, is that I did develop of course, a study for educators who were coming into special education, particularly in the charter network that I was working in. And we were having a lot of turnover rate, both in general education and teachers. So I had to think about like, oh gosh, these people are leaving, they're talented. These students need them. I stayed longer than I probably should have, because I truly believe those students who look like me, who grew up in neighborhoods like me, who had family dynamics like me, deserve someone like me as well that will support them and stay there. So I actually developed a course of study for someone who wanted to transition from teaching and have a larger impact. And so understanding and breaking down IDEA, the law, and understanding what it means for a student to have an IEP, and even up to develop what it means to have to go to court and defend your school. I've been to court a lot. I've never lost a fight though. Never lost. But that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I do think that is something needed. It's something that I'm doing now. So a lot of work that I'm doing now that I transition from my day to day, I now partner with other schools across the district, and now I work with and consult with one of the largest special education advocacy groups, doing that exact work, developing teachers, developing leaders, in the hopes that we are improving special education for students and families across DC, Maryland, and eventually Virginia.
Oh, it's good, but that's a lot on its own. So maybe one day you didn't go to school to actually be a special education teacher. Now you in the administrative role of special education. So it could be just your calling. So maybe one day you would become national.
You're right.
Some of those policies to help everyone. So the programs and the things that you're doing now and things you want to implement into the system now for your area, it could very well help. Even coming back home with it, with the same program, it can help people heal too.
That's true. And so it is. So I have a plan, right? Like, and to your point, like, you're right. I went into everything not knowing it was going to take me where I was. I remember calling my mom. I called my mom in like 2 weeks, like right after Labor Day, and was like, yep, I ain't gonna make it. Nope, won't be a teacher long. No, that was 2002. It is now 2021, and I still go to schools every day. So you're right. And I think, and I'll get there, right? Like, I think for right now, where my vision is and what I'm doing, and the next step for that is to create after school programs in many communities for students. And and I'm not saying this to minimize where it's like not just a recreational center, because I don't want that. I think they're beneficial, and that would be an aspect of my my after school programs. But
Right.
historically, students with disabilities and children of color are the first to get kicked out of programs because of either behavior or access to those things. And so I'm hoping to create a nonprofit that would then develop after school and summer programs that are performance-based, performing arts, homework support and academic support. And also there is a level of therapeutic social emotional support. And so in my vision, in my world, there is where we have social workers, we have counselors who support those students as well, where they get group counseling and individual counseling. Our children face many barriers and many different things that they just don't have access to the same things that their white counterparts have. And so it's important for me that I create a world for them that they still feel safe in.
Okay.
So let me piggyback when you say they get kicked out. It seemed like, to me, I don't know, I'm gonna ask, you know how the kids get in trouble, automatically consider them something wrong with them. Do they get kind of misjudged by their behavior and then be put into these programs and consider as something wrong with them? You know, like
put into programs or put in or labeled as special education.
Right.
Right. Because basically the ones, like if they fight a lot. I know back in the day, the back hall, like and stuff, but it was the back hall. And some of those students, they were just fighting a lot. So is it really true? You know, like, is it they need it? Or they really just kind of
So that is a yes and no and maybe answer, right? It actually depends on the individual. It actually depends on the data that we collect, the data that we review. So when I said I've gone to court and been sued a lot, is because it wasn't because I didn't do right by the student in terms of didn't give them their services. It was because I wouldn't label their child special education. And so,
okay.
Yeah, because they're
labeled as special education to kind of get in trouble.
Yeah, they can take us to court. Is if the student is having a lot of behavior problems and their behavior problems are impacting their academic performance, then it is the school's duty to evaluate the student. The evaluation doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have like a psychological test, but you have to evaluate the student's performance to determine if there is a disability. The issue is that with, again, poor or Black, brown students and families, they over-identify them as ADHD. They over-identify them as emotionally disturbed. And so there's a whole systematic issue structure that's problematic, because those students tend to then lead to the number of jail beds in prison, or jail beds in jail and prison. So there is a huge over-identification of students, particularly with ADHD and emotionally disturbance, which are more behavior-based disabilities. And the reason why, and I know Chantel, you have a question, but the reason why a lot of the manifestations of the disabilities look like other things that go untreated in our community. So ADHD can look like anxiety, can look like depression in children. It could look like post-traumatic stress, right? And so they often, without doing more research, more evaluation, they don't get to the root, and or families don't reveal all information that is needed. They're like, no, everything is fine at home.
Evaluated. They want to some of them don't even get evaluated at all. I think that messes them up when they come into their adult life.
Yeah. And it will. Untreated in your childhood will show up in your adult relationship.
I mean,
but that's why I said yes, no, and maybe, because it depends on this. It depends on.
So when you're preparing the IEP, what's the most important part when you actually doing an IEP? What part is the most important?
It's all important. It's all important. So it would be having the right data. Having the right diagnosis, the right data, and then having quality goals. I've seen some, I'm gonna say it, I don't care. I've seen some trash IEPs and some trash goals where I'm like, we're not closing gaps. So now I'm questioning your mindset and what you believe the student can do if we're still having these lower level goals on this IEP. We need to push the rigor so that we can close the gap. If a student has an IEP, it's saying that there are 2 grade levels below.
Right. Wow. So in this position now, and even after this position, what is your ultimate goal? What are some things you are really trying to accomplish while you hold this position and lead up to it for your future and for the kids' future?
So can I ask a clarifying question? In this position as my own business, as the founder and CEO of my business, or in the position that I do to my 9 to 5? Because my business ain't grown such that I can not have a 9 to 5. Both. In
Start
both.
off with your 9 to 5 and then in your own personal business. And tell us about your personal business as well and give us some on that.
So we've been talking about my personal business actually the entire time. So what I do on my day-to-day, or previously done on my day-to-day, I transition to do on my own. And so I resigned from my job, and then they gave me a contract because they didn't want to let me go. And I accepted that contract. And then I did the special education advocacy group. I just closed that deal, or that contract 2 weeks ago. So we are now working with them. Thank you. And ultimately, if I do what I need to do, I'll be working with Prince George County Public Schools, working to make sure that they have adequate tutoring for their students to make up for their learning loss during COVID. And so for me, in my role, what I do day to day, it allows me just to understand what's still going on campus levels, on school-based levels. My goal is to close those gaps in my own personal business. In my own personal business, in terms of where I want to go, and my ultimate goal is to have those kind of 4 big rocks that I will focus on. So I'll have the technical support around special education, IEPs, professional development with schools. We'll also have after-school program and summer programs that provide support for students with disabilities will be our main focus, but we also will not close our doors to anyone. And then there is also tutoring support for families and schools and students. And then there's parent advocacy, which is my main goal is the after-school program and parent advocacy. And so I want to make sure parents have someone who can advocate for their children. Sometimes our I don't like to generalize because I went to school with a lot of well-knowledge families, right? But everyone doesn't have that. And so I want to make sure that a parent can call me and say, hey, this is coming up with my child. My child's been suspended over and over again. We don't know what's going on. And I want to walk them through those steps. I want to walk them through like, yeah, you probably should. It's going to be free. Let them do it. So at the end of the day, you don't have to agree to the IEP, but you can still have all the information. You can get to the end of the process and say, thank you, I'll take these documents. And if we want to come back, we can come back. You can stop it at any time. And so I want to be able to be that person for the family where it's not adversarial with the school, because you still need them. I want it to be something that they can rely on. They can build trust with the school, and they trust that's going to have their best interest. Those are kind of like my main foci.
Do it ever get? I'm sorry. I hear everything you're saying, but then it's like I'm over here getting this. Do it ever get overwhelming? Like for you dealing with all of this stuff with, they need help. Come to. Do you feel like they're pulling you?
Everything, right?
Going to court is my favorite thing because I've watched enough seasons of Law and Order to know my character. But that gets a little overwhelming. I think I will say, making this transition, I know I will no longer have to go because I don't work directly for a school, but I will help them navigate the process. But I love my attorney friends. I'm not an attorney, but like they've been my professors for the last 7 years, and I think I know IDEA because of them. But it gets overwhelming because there are times where I'm looking at a mother and I'm looking at it like, yes, but no. Like I know you want it, but I can't give it to you. And you with an attorney who's selling you something that you're not going to get, and they know you're not going to get it, and they only want to sue me for attorney fees. So they don't charge the parent. So they then convince the parent that what we're agreeing to or what we're trying to do is wrong. So instead of the student getting help, they're in a fight with us for about 3 to 6 months. It can go anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Is it overwhelming? Yes, it's a lot of work getting all like the evidence, getting statements, going back. Like they have up to 2 years to do this. So, you don't know how far you got to go back to review all the evaluations, go through everything with a fine tooth comb, sitting in front of a hearing officer and then waiting to see, gosh, did I testify? Did I represent the school right? Some of that is, but towards my last 3 years, I was just like, yeah, I was like Beyonce at the Grammys. I'm gonna get this Grammy. I already know, right? Because I did the work. I never walked away from what we call due process hearing. I just use court because it's easier for people to understand. I've never walked away without a lesson. Even it was like a blind spot on my end that I had to go back and clear up a system or a process at my school to make sure we're not like missing things. But I always been able to use those to then improve what we do at the school on the school level.
So what's your biggest reward actually working with the special?
I mean, overall, it's giving me purpose. That's a good question that I just won't actually ready to tap into. I guess most people know. Yeah, you did. That was good. That was gosh, that was. Most people know my family from Suffolk, right? Most people know my mom has been disabled for many years. And as a child, I had to witness that, all stages of that. And there were times where, did I go out?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. There were times where when we were trying to officially get her diagnosed and the support she needed, we continuously kept getting denied. And like to see, knowing that if she could, she would, but she can't, so she ain't. So somebody got to help us. And she was denied so much, and I had to eventually go to disability court, and for the actual judge to see that she could not do things on her own. She could not walk. She could not do. So for me, it has been my healing. It has been my purpose is to save that 11-year-old boy, that 12-year-old boy, that 13-year-old boy that will go to school and not know if my mom was okay. And I'm probably saying a little too much, but whatever. It's still a story to share. And so it gave me purpose. It gave me purpose to know that there were little Black boys and girls whose life completely changes because I was a part of their trajectory. I have, dating myself, I have students who email me or text me or send me a Facebook request being like, hey, I got my master's. I've gone to college. I have parents send me pictures of their child at their high school graduation that I had in elementary school. I started doing contract working with a school in DC in August, and a kid I found eligible in kindergarten walked through the door, and his mom just said, "Oh my God, I thank God that you're here." He's 17 now. Good. He's still overwhelming. He's still overwhelming. But I think
rewarding to see that.
Those things are rewarded. And then the ultimate reward, honestly, is that my mom and dad are happy. They're happy. My sister and my brother, they're happy for me. I 2 years ago received the highest honor at work as the network leader of the year. I wasn't expecting. Actually, I went to work in sweatpants that day, and I needed a haircut. I was like, y'all couldn't do this Monday when I come back with my haircut. But like, to not expect that, to not know, to do this work because it is what you do. You don't look for any type of acknowledgement, recognition, or anything. And I think for me, the bigger thing is those two things: knowing that families are taken care of, and knowing that my parents and my family are happy of the man I become.
Right. Well, I think
and still becoming.
Because you do. I knew you worked in the school system, but I didn't know you was doing so much. You did so much. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you. Sometimes I don't know that I'm doing too. I don't know that I'm doing too much. I literally had to close my laptop today. I was like, no, you can go get something to eat. It's okay. Yeah. Because it is always something to do, but you still have to take some time for yourself.
You enjoy. You might be come to 757 and help some of you people. I got friends that they actually hate doing IEPs and stuff, and I about it because they express it. So you might need to come help them because you enjoy.
And see, that's what I was saying to him earlier. He might want to consider extending his consulting and your programs, your nonprofits, all this stuff you have going on. You have so much going on. You might want to consider expanding it out of the Maryland, DC, come home some to help some.
That is the plan.
Still extend his services,
That actually is the plan. That has always been part of my plan to come back home. It's probably one of my regrets is that I left home. Now in my early 20s, I don't think I was regretting it because I was living the life in DC. But I do. I regret not. I look on a more not superficial, but I think on a more surface level, I miss seeing my family and seeing the small changes and seeing the children. And, I go home and don't know some of the cousins' babies. And I'm like, well, who your mama? But overall, there is knowing that you have a talent that others can benefit from, and know that people in your community that you grew up with, that you've seen their struggle, you see where you know their potential, and I don't have a direct impact on that. I sometimes deal with that because I'm like pouring into the families here. I'm pouring into there. So as I think about the next stage and opening up this after school program, I actually called my dad and Chantel. I was like, hey, can I pallet something at the church one summer, right? And of course, my dad, being my dad, he's like, yeah, like, please. And so you'll start seeing some things coming up in the 2022. I'm putting some things in place now to start planning for that. I am 3 months in. I think I'm 3 months. I resigned. Yeah, I resigned in June. I'm like 3 months in, and things are moving really quickly for me in terms of here, because it's such a huge need in DC. Right. To be honest, it's really a huge need. And my reputation speaks for itself. So people know my name and they know it's going to be quality. I think I'm the Beyonce of special education here in DC. little humble brag, just a little humble brag.
Okay, so now everyone, those that didn't know, and all of us who know you, we all know of an awesome job you do with the schools. Now you have your own consulting on your own business and you're working on a nonprofit. But tell us, outside of your occupation and your career, who is Steve Fuji Hamlin Jr.? Who actually is that person? Like, what are some things that you like to do or things people don't really know about you?
All right. All right. So for starters, I'm no longer. For starters, I'm no longer Fuji. That's for starters. I'm no longer Fuji. I am.
Look, I be seeing you look good and you can be a model. Yeah, I be seeing them.
Thank you. I am Stevie Ray. So that is that. Fuji morphed into Stevie Ray. And the reason why is because I got on social media and my daddy high school friends were starting to request me, and I was like, nope, that's not, I'm the son. And then like, my students started to become adults, and then they started like, yep, no, I'm still Mr. Hamlin, So let me quickly change this. And I changed that to Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray is I'm like a fun guy. I like being around my friends. I like going to the gym. That's where I spend most of my time, in the gym. And I like working on wellness, like more full body. So while I work out, lifting weights and boxing and anything like that, I do and create the same intention around my mental wellness, around my yoga, around my therapy. I'm a friend. I'm a brother. I used to be a great uncle, but I kind of done dropped the ball. I'll say I dropped the ball. I know my younger nieces and nephews, they don't know what they missed. Like 20-year-old uncle was on it, right? I am, I think that's me. I've created a family here in Maryland, in DC, and so you see most of those people I'm interacting with on social media, and so that's me. I'm a pretty simple guy. I know I appear not to be. I don't. Right? It's a constant battle. I don't have it all together. I'm still figuring myself out. I really woke up one day and was like, no, you're really 40. You're really 40. For years, I'd be like, no, I still feel like 26. I don't know. I woke up one day, I was like, oh, no. You're 40. You're your parents' age when you moved away. And I was like, oh, I understand them both better now. And so I'm still figuring out. I'm actually still figuring out what I like, what I don't like, what I'm willing to risk. Those types of things. I'm still figuring life out. I got a nose ring at 40, whichever side it's on. So I'm still figuring things out. But I think I do things with intention. So I don't always have it figured out, but when I do make a decision, I've been intentional about that decision. I've been intentional about. So I put thought into it. I go back and forth. I still call my mama, and I still call my mom. She still tells me don't talk to strangers when I go out of town. I was like, girl, I got a date. I got to talk to some strangers now.
We worry about children when they get grown, more when they get grown, and that's me. My children, they do that thing. I better look behind you, pay attention, be observant. But
you never stop being a parent, and you never stop being a child.
Exactly.
You asked me another question, Shantae. I'm sorry. Did I answer your question?
I think you did.
Okay.
Because you said,
all right.
He balanced. Look, you get her to me. You get everything balanced as far as your personal time, your leisure time, and your work time. So you get
I still struggle with balance. Right. I would spend a lot of time in the gym, and I'm getting better with it. I used to neglect a lot of things for the gym. Because it was my peace of mind, and it helped me. And I do most of my thinking there. And then I like to take a good old gym selfie. So it was, I still work to find balance. I would say in the last 3 weeks, it's been hard because I am working these like 4 types of things contracts right now. And so it's like, oh, what do I do? What do I not do? And I had to adjust some things. So, I mean, I get up at 4:15 in the morning now, so I make sure I go to the gym.
See, that's what I'm trying to do. Just some advice. Just a little advice. I just want to go for 30 minutes. But my right knee be hurting so bad.
you got
you go for 30 minutes.
You sit down a lot? Do you sit down a lot?
So I do, but I walk too at work. But it's just me. I like to walk around the track. I was doing it. I don't know what happened.
You sit down, and when you sit down, you compress your hips. So your hips are actually probably tight, which tightens your lower back, which then tightens your T-bands, that then tightens your knee.
So they just stop and just walk through it.
If your work requires you to sit down a lot, you probably need to put yourself on a timer so that you can stand up.
30-minute rounds, but
Okay. Then you need to stretch.
So let me ask you this before we get ready to wrap it up. Let me ask you this. I know you're a big Beyonce fan. Like Beyonce is like the it, right?
She
but
is
outside
the it. Yeah.
of Beyonce, who is another celebrity that you would love to party with, hang out with, whatever?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because most people don't think it's anybody beyond Beyonce for me. And no, so there is a lot. Like, I mean, I could pull out Toni Braxton. I could pull out, Rihanna's cool too. But like my favorite celebrity, since I guess we were teens, but like Gabrielle Union. And I would love to party with her now. I went to see her when she released her book. I'm reading her book. Because I think when you talk about balance and talk about like trying to get things together throughout all the phases of your lives, like I say, all the births and deaths of your life, she has I've just watched her. And I mean, I had the pleasure to go to her birthday party a few years ago in Miami. And she parties. She throws a good party. She doesn't know me. She doesn't know I was there, but it was a great party. And she's fun, and I love their family union. I love how she supported her husband, their children, and now her daughter. And she speaks very candidly about that. There's a lot in that book that I kind of resonate with me. But so it'd be Gabrielle Union. She's a fun girl.
What's the name of the book?
Gabrielle Union is a good book.
We're gonna need something stronger. It's called We. Do you have any? What is it? Do you have anything stronger? or we're gonna need
okay.
something strong.
Getting stronger.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Her first book was called we're gonna need more wine for this, and now she's really unpacking her marriage, their breakup, him having a child, and her difficulties with having a child, and now being an older mom, and so it's really good. It's really good.
Okay.
But I'll hang with her
because I was trying to find a good book to read, and I'm not checking it out.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Okay, so I know we had to wrap it up, but two last things. What is one thing that you would change and why?
One thing I would change. All right. So, and why? Yeah. And I think this is something personal, but I think it impacts a lot of facets in my life. Like I wish I was more confident. I wish I was more less shy, more confident. And yeah, like I know I am completely shy. Which is something people,
but I don't remember that part.
which people don't know. I am completely shy. I lack a lot of confidence. I doubt myself a lot. I overthink everything. And
You do a lot. You do a lot for to feel like that, though.
I would have never.
It doesn't come without the stuff, right? Like I may still show up, but it doesn't come without stuff. Like,
but you nervous or shy to do this interview with us?
Yes. Yes. I can cut it on. I do have, as much as I stand up in front of teachers and leaders, and much as I can go to the, hang with my friends, I'm comfortable around my friends because they know me, so I'm less anxious, I'm less shy. But I doubt myself a lot. And I think me doubting myself a lot is the reason why it took me 3 years to launch my career. It's the reason why I stayed at a job longer than I needed to. It's probably why I don't, I turned down a lot of invites to go to house parties, or, will you, believe it or not, I turned down photo shoots. I'm like, oh, no. I know. But there are ways to get over it. I did go to therapy for it. And even now, launching this career, this thing, and having people come and request me and ask me what are my rates, I'm like doubting myself. Like I probably should lowball it because maybe I'm not that good. So, I doubt myself. I've turned down a lot of things. I've turned down interviews because I'm like, I can't do it. I'm not qualified. And it's that voice in your head that tells you.
Laugh into yourself, encourage yourself. I think you do good though.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you for accepting that. You are talking with us, joining us. We know we had technical difficulties and you waited for us to work it out. We do appreciate you. Now, I would have never thought you were shy.
I told you everyone's gonna learn something new about me that they didn't know.
Yeah. But I just want to congratulate you on the good job you're doing. Yeah. Before we leave and let you go, we do ask all of our guests one question, and we just want you to give us feedback about the podcast. Way to get the podcast.
Yeah. Feedback.
Yes.
You guys are really engaging. You guys, very good questions. I think questions that get beyond the surface. So I think it allows opportunity for the listeners to get to know your guests. I feel like while you all know me and know me a younger version of myself, you also done some research to kind of know what to ask, to kind of get an understanding of what I do. The communication throughout the week was really good. That was the feedback.
Okay.
Technical
Well,
difficulties happen.
you. We thank you so much. We really thank you for joining us. Maybe we'll follow up with you in a couple of more months to see how the business is going. Or maybe when you come down here to start introducing the business, you can come and visit us.
Yes.
Don't forget us now.
Yes.
Business, you become
I won't. You call me. You call me. I'm there. I will in January. It's tentatively now planning to launch the official launch gala, the gala for my nonprofit organization. So we'll hope that Wait Again Minute will be there to support. So thank you all for having me as well. One question.
Thank you.
I know you got to go. Is this recorded, or how can it be viewed after the show?
It will be posted to the Facebook page and YouTube.
And YouTube.
Yeah,
I got it.
Right. Yeah, we live now, so they can go back and look at it, or they can watch it on Pandora. Listen to it on Pandora, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify.
Okay. It's for my mama, so I can sit down with her and watch it when I come home.
Okay. She wants
All right.
so she can see her baby. Yeah, go back to Facebook on Wait Again Minute page, or go to YouTube to Wait Again Minute.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye bye.